Simple things sometimes so complicated. Thankfully, with auto owners, insurance doesn't have to be one of them. Auto Owners works with independent agents who live in your community and answer when you call, so you can worry about more important things, like finding a new favorite shirt. That's simple human sense.
Call me, Jay Peterson, your auto owner's insurance agent in Clinton, for a virtual or in-person appointment at 935-6605.
The First National Bank and Trust Company of Clinton invites you to join our 150-year anniversary celebration with a free community lunch and ribbon cutting at their bank Friday, July 29th at 11 a.m. You can see the newly remodeled lobby and various bank memorabilia from over the years. For more information about the event and their anniversary, visit firstnbtc.com or follow them on Facebook. They want to thank you for being part of their story for 150 years. First National Bank and Trust Company, member FDIC.
You or your loved one will love living at Eagle Ridge Supportive Living in Decatur. Here are some comments from one of their happy residents.
They're wonderful. They're not over helpful, but they're not under helpful either. The food is good.
Eagle Ridge in Decatur is affordable to everyone. Call Eagle Ridge now for a tour. 872-1282. That's 872-1282. And start enjoying supportive living.
Top of the morning, 7 minutes after 7 o'clock is news time on the WHOW Morning Show. Top of the morning from the newsroom of Regional Radio and DeWittDailyNews.com. I'm Seth Lawrence with this expanded local newscast brought to you by Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton, your Silverado headquarters, and the morning show streams to Facebook and YouTube. It's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agents in Clinton. Thursday night, the DeWitt County Board, at the DeWitt County Board meeting, it was brought to the attention of the full board that marina operator Joe Caldwell is violating the lease agreements of his agreement over insurance coverage. Jay Wickenhauser pointed out the issue is the workers' compensation component of his insurance coverage and has not been received by the county. Board Chair Terry Ferguson informed the board Caldwell is aware of the issue.
I was going to bring it up at the Marine meeting, but I couldn't make it.
Yeah.
Joe Caldwell and not having his work comp insurance. That needs to be addressed, I think.
Yes.
Because it clearly states in his lease that he is supposed to present it, I assume, January 1st each year, annually. Here it is July, and we still haven't received it.
Yes. We sent him the notice about that, I believe. Was that at the end of May, meeting?
Yes.
Talked to his insurance.
Our son's been reminded a couple of times at the meetings.
And then
we still don't have it.
I called him yesterday. And
What did you say?
he said he's got everything except for the agent's waiting on the figures for the workers' comp. I don't know if that
So
comes
he
from
hasn't
the
been
state
working
or
up this whole time, and that tells you that.
probably right.
And it's strictly in our lease that he
It doesn't
has to
matter
have.
what the numbers are.
Well, you gotta provide
Mm-hmm.
your salary and then they calculate what the premium is.
State's Attorney Dan Markwell says this is a huge liability for DeWitt County. Dan Matthews was not at the county board meeting Thursday. He is the chairperson for the Marina Committee, so many of the questions went to Vice Chair Travis Hauser, who admits he was not aware of the issue.
It's a huge liability on the county if he doesn't have it, because we're aware of it, and if something happens out there, we're not going to be able to turn around and sue him because, to reimburse us, because we're aware of it and we haven't taken any action. So that needs to get addressed, and of course, that's state law that you're required to carry it.
You sent an email, did I go to everybody?
What's that?
The email from his agent today?
No, I didn't send that there. He does not have coverage.
No.
Let me ask Travis, you're vice chair, Marina, right?
Yeah.
So when's the last time we had proof of workman's comp?
It's a good question.
Did we have it last year?
No.
We had a listing of the
funny part is about the board is a lot of this stuff doesn't get passed to all the other board members. So I wasn't really aware of a lot of the insurance stuff, but I guess I should have asked.
I mean, it's in the lease.
I don't remember getting an email that says that he didn't have it.
But Carter inquired about taking action based on the fact the county is liable. Ferguson offered an email sent by the insurance agent of Caldwell, but the board still pressed about taking legal action.
Well, now that we're aware that he doesn't have it, and we are liable, are we obligated to serve a notice that he's in violation of his contract?
He sent
whatever legal steps would be taken.
They sent it, his insurance agent sent a correspondence, I guess it just went to myself and Dan Matthews yesterday. Said that she forwarded on to Dee Dee. Here's the updated certificate. It shows the increased liability coverage and the auto coverage. I'm finalizing the workman's comp and should have that sent. Please let me know if you need anything. That's from Loman Ray, the insurance agent.
We don't even have last year, now it's 6 months into this year, so.
Let's say like we're legally responsible to our legals to send us some sort of a violation and give them, 5 days or 7 days or some period of time to correct this issue, or the contract is null and void.
Basically, no breach of contract now, right?
He was asked to provide for that in the May Marina Committee. He was asked to provide it.
Yeah. He's been asked several times, but he hasn't provided.
No.
So now that we are legally liable, are we obligated to take a legal step to attempt to enforce that? Hartwell?
Well, it'd be my opinion that you should take action to protect the county. However, if you're wanting to vote to serve notice that he's in violation and terminate his contract, that needs to get put on the agenda. You can call a special meeting to do that. That need to go on the agenda and then have a majority vote to do that.
Markwell explained if the board wanted to direct him to take legal action against Caldwell, they would need a special meeting to do so because it was not on the agenda Thursday.
With my conversation.
Couldn't you just send the notice? I mean, I hear what you said, but couldn't a notice be sent to him? That says like
Would that be an emotion?
that you have 7 days to correct this, or action will be taken to cancel the contract.
Well, I think he's already been told, and from what I just heard in May, that he was supposed to have this
Well, he's
done.
been told by committee members and board members, but he hasn't been told by our legal.
Yes, but the board directs me on what we're going to pursue, and it's not on the agenda to address that. We've got 4 board members missing. So I think if you want me to send something, we need to.
You want the majority of the board to.
Yes, the board needs to vote if they think he's in violation, and you're seeking to terminate his contract. Then I need a vote of the board to do that, and if the majority of the board says that, then I can send him a letter and give proper notice under the contract that we're seeking to terminate.
But then we can't do that tonight because it's not open.
The board will meet next Thursday at 6 p.m. to take up the issue of Caldwell's insurance. In recent weeks, Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker has made trips to Vermont and Florida, and a state senator says it's obvious at this point the governor is campaigning for president. State Senator Chapin Rose says when he made this point 2 years ago, people thought he was crazy. He's calling on the governor to work on giving relief to Illinoisans at the gas pump.
Guy's running for president. It's the worst kept secret. People laugh when I said that 2 years ago, but, it's clear. He's making stops in all the, the presidential states that you do if you're running for president. He was in Florida last week and, at a Democrat Party shindig. And, I guess my thought is he ought to be back here in Illinois. He ought to worry about where he is today. He ought to be worried about what's going on with the people of Illinois. And I don't know if you saw this or not, but the Commission on Government Forecasting just came out, and the state's going to have about a $1.9 billion unexpected increase in revenues, largely driven by this inflation insanity that's out there right now. Frankly, I think, because of that, we ought to give the people of Illinois some of their money back. I think we got to go give, absolutely permanent gas tax relief, permanent, not temporary,
Senator Rose believes if Republicans in Illinois were given the chance, they would give Illinoisans their money back while Democrats would continue to spend it. Additionally, they would focus on reducing energy costs.
Let's not talk about, namby-pamby tax relief. Let's make it permanent. Let's make it real. Let's put people, money back in people's pockets. The Democrats are making policy choices to spend your money elsewhere. Republicans will give you your money back. Okay, that's the first thing. Second thing is, again, let's go back to energy. Okay, the energy bill they passed that's closing peaker plants, that's closing coal, is just raising the prices of everyone's bills. The power bills at home, the power bills at work, business, everybody. Okay, that bill that passed just in the last year has skyrocketed rates in Dallas, Illinois. Mm-hmm. And now, if you're lucky enough to be in a community that's on municipal aggregation as a residential owner, you probably haven't been hit too hard yet. But again, it's distorting the marketplace. And so you have some people whose, I think, his rates went from $200 a month to $600, just in a single month. On the other hand, you've got the grid operators themselves saying that we may be talking about brownouts. So let's undo that. Let's get to rational energy policy where we can have stable supply at affordable prices. Those are just some of the things. But
crime in Illinois is up, and there's a lot of crime stemming from habitual criminals being released from jail thanks to bail reform. Senator Rose says the way Illinois went about resolving inequality in the criminal justice system is not right.
What I say is, once again, JB and the Democrats' prescriptions have, been worse than the disease. I mean, to let everybody out of jail like they've done, it's just most rational, thoughtful people can understand that when bad guys are behind bars, they're not on the streets committing more crimes. It's fairly simple. Yet we've gone through this collective lunacy in this country and among progressive leftists, of which the modern Democratic Party is that they have said, hey, let's do this great experiment, let everybody out and assume it's going to be fine. Those of us who voted no in the first place knew the answer before that didn't stop JB from signing that bill to let everybody out of jail. You can do things like address wrongly accused by making sure you've got the appropriate pretrial, standards in place in prosecutors' offices and among defense attorneys, right? I mean, that's where you address that. You don't address it by letting clearly guilty people run amok on our streets. And that's what they did. And
Senator Rose questions where the equity is for the victims of the crimes that are being committed. It's 18 minutes after the hour here on this Friday morning. We've got plenty more to get to coming your way on the WHOW Morning Show.
Having a hard time finding the correct new car, truck, SUV, or crossover to fit your needs? This is Scott Baum from Bob Chevrolet Buick here in Clinton. Some lots look low on inventory, so go to our website, look at our pre-order and reserve tab. You'll see inventory in transit, which are built and on their way to Clinton, and in production, new Chevys and Buicks, which are being built and will arrive soon. Or you can always call our sales team. They can help you find the correct one just for you. BombChevyBuick.com, right from the start.
19 minutes after the hour here on this Friday morning. Again, I'm Seth Lawrence with you folks today for this expanded local newscast brought to you by Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton, your Silverado headquarters, and the morning show streams to Facebook and YouTube. It's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. The unemployment rate in Illinois has reached its lowest level since the beginning of the pandemic. The June jobless rate came in at 4.5%, down from 4.6% in May, says Illinois Department of Employment Security Director Kristen Richards.
What this tells us is that for the 11th consecutive week, the record low number of individuals collecting unemployment insurance in the state of Illinois continues to signal a very strong labor market.
There was also job growth in June, with nearly 19,000 jobs added over the previous month. The largest gains by far were made in Illinois leisure and hospitality.
The state continues to see job growth with 19,000 new jobs added in the month of June. The largest over the month gains include industries like leisure and hospitality, professional and business services, construction, and educational and health services.
The national unemployment rate for June came in at 3.6%. Distracted drivers are polluting the roadways now more than ever, and the Illinois Department of Transportation is well aware of it. IDOT spokesperson Paul Wappel says the state of Illinois has a major problem with drivers diverting their attention away from the roads.
Distracted driving is really, becoming it's a huge issue, and that's whether you're texting, eating, or talking. I mean, it can be dangerous when you're behind the wheel. So it's a serious issue. Distracted driving it's preventable. You want to protect yourself, your passenger safety, and everybody around you.
Distracted driving includes texting on the phone, eating or drinking, talking to other passengers in the car, and anything that takes your attention off the road. According to the Highway National Traffic Safety Administration, more than 26,000 people died from 2012 to 2019 due to distracted driving. Clean energy proponents are calling on regional power grid operator MISO to move forward with a number of solar and wind projects. MISO manages the generation and transmission of electricity for portions of 15 states, including central and southern Illinois. Representative Ann Williams of Chicago says it's time for the operator to start transitioning away from fossil fuels and get moving on clean energy solutions.
Energy costs are skyrocketing due to circumstances that no one could have foreseen, and the climate crisis is escalating at a rate that's shocking even scientists. MISO needs to operate with a sense of real urgency here. MISO needs to think outside the box and meet the moment that we are in.
Senator Christina Castro of Elgin says the operator needs to stop relying so heavily on fossil fuels.
Right now, there's 34 solar and wind projects capable of generating more than 6,000 megawatts of energy sitting in MISO's queue awaiting approval, enough to power 4.5 million Illinois homes. MISO's foot dragging could keep these projects languishing for years.
Castro adds if Ameren customers ever find themselves in the dark, MISO's inaction is to blame. Williams says there are 34 solar and wind projects that could reliably power over 4 million Illinois homes that MISO has not implemented yet. RLI Corporation Wednesday reported a loss of $2.2 million in its second quarter. The Peoria-based company says it had losses of 5 cents per share. Earnings adjusted for investment costs came to $1.49 per share. The specialty insurance company posted revenue of $213.1 million in the period. Its adjusted revenue was $301.3 million. Illinois Senator Tammy Duckworth says she's working on passing legislation that would end price gouging in the United States during times of crisis. Senator Duckworth says her inspiration for the bill comes on the record high gas prices this summer, which she attributes to the oil and gas industry trying to scrape in profits on the heels of the Russia-Ukraine conflict.
Folks should know that the oil and gas companies have taken advantage of this pandemic and the war that Russia has inflicted upon Ukraine to hike up the price of oil, and in fact have stopped drilling, stopped production in places where they have permission and permits and everything in order to keep prices artificially high. In fact, oil prices fell 20% last month, and yet we're not seeing a 20% drop in the cost of gas at the pump when you go to fill up your car. And that's because oil executives are still refusing to pass along savings to working Americans. And in fact, they've come right out and said, hey, we like these huge profits we're making because we can buy back stock and pay higher dividends to our shareholders. And so my bill would go after price gouging, not just by oil companies, but by anyone who take advantage of a disaster like a hurricane, a tornado, or a war like what's happening in Ukraine in order to charge excessively high prices.
In March, Senator Duckworth sent a letter requesting President Biden direct U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland to establish and chair a gasoline price gouging enforcement task force to carefully monitor and investigate oil and gas markets for potential violations of criminal or civil laws, including gasoline and diesel price gouging. Duckworth also helped lead a bipartisan push to prioritize the year-round sale of E15 fuel and utilize American agriculture as a less costly energy solution. If you're wondering why retail fresh fruit prices are so much higher than last year, Gary Crawford's reports may help explain why.
Out here at the Department of Agriculture's Farmers Market on the Mall in Washington, D.C., one of the regular farmers who sell here is Bradley Werner of Werner Orchards up near Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. And we got to talking with him about the rising costs of the fertilizers, herbicides, and equipment they need to produce the apples and stone fruit and other fruit crops that they grow. And what he says goes to explain a little bit about why we consumers are seeing prices for fresh fruit running about 9% higher than this time a year ago. It turns out the costs of producing those crops are running a lot higher than 9%. Most people don't realize that tree fruit growers like Bradley here use a lot of fertilizers and such. For example, Bradley?
Stone fruit requires high levels of nitrogen in order to produce enough foliage for the following year, because the following year's growth is what you're going to have peaches on the following year. You follow me?
I'm right behind you, yeah. And you have certainly seen some huge increases for nutrients like urea. Back in 2020, it was selling for what, 23 cents a pound?
This year I had to buy the same product, came in the same colored bag, same product. It was 77 cents a pound.
So about 230% higher for urea. And here's another example.
We paid $288 a ton for regular granulated mixed fertilizer. It was just different blocks required different nutrients. The price, it went up from $288 a ton to $972 a ton, and that was of November of 2021. 1 year it went up over $704 per one ton.
Wow. So Bradley says they cut way down on that fertilizer and instead...
No, we applied lime. Lime, for instance, granulated powder, pulverized lime went from $10 a ton to $32 a ton in about 11 months. So what's that, a 200% increase?
Yeah, and this kind of thing is not just happening to fertilizers, it's happening to things like herbicide chemicals and such.
I've seen a price on chemicals go up about 25 to 30% across the board.
Now, the general inflation rate, they tell us right now for all goods and services in the U.S. is about 10% higher than a year ago. But for farmers,
it's way more than 10%. It's probably 15 to 20, maybe 25% inflation.
Bradley, you say you can't raise the price of your fruit that much or people aren't going to buy it. So profits are turning into losses.
But we're hanging on.
Hoping things turn around. And in the meantime, though,
I'll just keep going until I go out of business, I guess.
Well, we hope not. At the farmers market in Washington, Gary Crawford reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture.
It is 28 minutes after the hour here on this Friday morning. Coverage of the morning show streams to Facebook and YouTube. It's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton, and news brought to you by Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton, your silver